Hello guys and welcome to another FPL video. We're going to talk about my Game Week 27 team selection, but before we go into that, we're also going to take a look at how the first double game week of the season panned out. We'll also take a look at some transfer ideas I have going into Game Week 27. Right guys, so let's dive right into it. We had our first double game week of the season in Game Week 26 and my team scored 66 points. I was unappointed going into Game Week 26 and this is how my team panned out. In goal I had Sanchez, who returned 1 point. Another disappointing game week for Sanchez and all Chelsea defensive owners really, because that was a game, although we didn't really expect clean sheets from the game against Leeds, but conceding 2 goals, really disappointing. No save points from him, so just returning 1 point. In my defense, I also had Munoz, who returned 1 point after conceding 2 goals before the first half and getting chopped off in the second half before the 60th minute mark, so he didn't get the 60-minute mark extra points. Didn't get any defensive returns, no attacking returns as well, so just 1 point from him. I was doubled up on the Arsenal defense. As we all knew, they had a double going into Game Week 27 and 26 rather. They went away to Brentford and away to Wolves. Timber unfortunately didn't get any attacking return, didn't get any clean sheets, didn't get any defensive contributions, and he returned just 3 points. Gabriel returning 14 points as my captain. Thankfully, I didn't triple captain him going into this game week. I just didn't really have strong belief in them keeping clean sheets. And fortunately for TC managers that did activate their TC, he managed to get an assist in the Wolves game. If not, it would have been a really terrible outing for managers who use their TC. But thankfully, he returned 7 points and 14 points as captain. 21 if you use your triple captain on him. Moving on to my midfield, I started Bruno Fernandes, who returned his first blank since he returned back to the starting lineup after his injury earlier in the season. He returned 2 points. Unfortunately, could have possibly gotten an assist. I think the assist that he would have gotten got ruled out for the offside. So unfortunately, he returned just 2 points. Enzo Fernandez with another blank for Chelsea in that game against Leeds. Rice, who is my third midfielder, got an assist in the game against Wolves, returned DEFCON points in the game against Brentford, and also picked up some bonus points in those games. So he returned 14 points and was my vice captain. He was also a really good shout for captaincy going into Game Week 26, but just the expected ownership of Gabriel and the overwhelming thought of not having him as your captain, knowing the amount of managers that also activated their triple captain on him, so it just felt the safer play to go with Gabriel. But Rice was a really good differential for captain options going into the game week. I had Mbeumo as well, who's my fourth midfielder, who got the equalizing goal for Manchester United in that game against West Ham, returning 6 points in that game. Semenyo, who is my fifth midfielder, still on really good form for Manchester City, getting a goal and getting an assist in their game against Fulham, returning 14 points for me in that game. Another really good option. He has been really good this season, both for Bournemouth, and since he's moved to City, he has been excellent for City as well, getting 5 goals in 8 games. So he's been really great since I brought him back into my side on my wild card. Up top, I had Erling Haaland, who got a goal in the game against Fulham, but unfortunately had to get subbed off at halftime due to a knock he picked up in the game, so he couldn't finish that game and he returned just 5 points. Mane, who was my last transfer in for the minors, got 4 points across the double game week. He went away, rather he had Nottingham Forest as his first fixture and Arsenal in the second. It was just really unfortunate. He could have easily returned a double figure haul in this double game week. He stopped at 11 points for DEFCON in the first game against Forest and could have gotten the assist for the second goal that they scored against Arsenal, but unfortunately it was given as a Calafiori own goal and an Edozie assist, so just really unlucky to have not gotten a double figure haul there. But 4 points still performed better than any of the assets that I had on the bench anyway, so I would take that. On my bench, I had Dubravka, who returned just 1 point in that game against Crystal Palace. I had Thiago as well in the first game against Arsenal. Could have easily gotten a hat-trick in that game. Don't know how he didn't he didn't bury some of those chances. Missed a free header, missed a couple of chances in the second half as well, and he returned just 2 points. Mukiele also just 2 points. He hasn't been able to return a lot of DEFCON since he moved to playing right back, but we have seen him get in more attacking positions for Sunderland so far since he moved to that wing. So I think that's one to look at in coming game weeks. And then Goodmanson, who returned 0 points in the game against Chelsea. So 66 points, a slight red arrow, I think, due to the fact that I was in the minus and I also did not use my triple captain. But nothing to really complain about at the moment. I still like the structure of my team moving forward, and let's see how we can turn things around going into game week 27, right? So in game week 27, I'm going to still line up with Sanchez in goal at home to Burnley. Hopefully, this is their last easy game before their fixtures turn, and I'm hoping that we can get a clean sheet again in this game against Burnley. We know how Chelsea are terrible at defending set pieces. Most of the goals that they've conceded in their recent games have been from set pieces, apart from the Leeds game, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully this is a game they can manage to come away with a clean sheet from. It would be really nice to get some Sanchez clean sheet points in the team. So Sanchez is going to start for me in goal. My other option would be to start Dubravka, but that's just not going to happen. So in my defense, I'm going with Timber and Gabriel, so I'm still doubling up on the Arsenal defense, but I'm just looking at the possibility of benching Timber to start Mukiele, because Mukiele is playing at home to Fulham, right? And I know that he isn't getting as many defcons as he was while playing at centre back, but like I said, the prospect of attacking output for him is still there, and is really high, right? And then Timber hasn't just seemed like himself. He still looks like he's struggling with some fitness issues. Ben White is available. Who knows if we're actually going to get a Timber rest this weekend? It's a North London derby. Ben White is fit. They may want to give Timber the rest, or he may start and get chopped off early. So it's one I'm actually looking at. I may decide to go Timber on my bench and start Mukiele ahead of him. But at the moment, Timber starts for me alongside Gabriel away at Tottenham. And then Munoz is my third defender at home to Wolves. Also one I'm keeping an eye out moving into subsequent game weeks. I plan to have him up until game week 33, but with the whole news that's surrounding the whole Crystal Palace manager and the amount of defensive injuries they're getting, losing Gehi, Lacroix missing out now through injuries, I don't know what the stability of their defense looks like or is going to look like. I mean, look at the game against Burnley. They conceded 3 to Burnley and lost that game from a leading position. So that just doesn't scream confidence for me in Munoz, and he's not one to return DEFCON points. So ultimately, I am looking at him getting attacking returns, and I don't know how plausible that would be going into the game week. So it's one that I am still looking at. I may also decide to keep Timber and bench Munoz and start Mukiele. But it's just, you look at the fixtures. Munoz at home to Wolves. I mean, you just can't overlook it, right? So it's just one or the other. But at the moment, he starts for me, and it's my third defender in my team. Moving on to my midfield, I have Bruno Fernandes away at Everton. I think that's a Monday night fixture. Hopefully, Bruno can get back to goal scoring, probably getting some assists as well. He has a decent record actually against Everton. Scored a couple of goals against them in his time in the Premier League. So he's also a really decent captain shout this week. If you're looking for a differential captain going into this week, I think he's a really decent shout for the captain armband on Monday. Enzo is my second midfielder at home to Burnley. Hopefully he gets onto the score sheets, whether it's with goals, whether it's assists. He doesn't really pick up a lot of DEFCON points, so I'm not really banking on that, but hopefully we see him get back on the score sheets with some goals in this game against Burnley. My third midfielder at the moment is Mbeumo, also away at Everton. He has been playing as a number 9 for Manchester United. Got a week's long rest. Hopefully they come into this game fresh, looking for the 3 points, and he gets some couple of goal returns for Man U in this game. The fourth midfielder is Semenyo at home to Newcastle, who's also going to be my vice captain. He's been on terrific form, like I said, since signing for Manchester City. He looks nailed on minutes with the likes of Doku still out injured, although we did hear news that Savinho is back and will be available, but I don't think Pep is going to rush him into the starting 11. Semenyo offers different routes to goals for Manchester City, and he's been on really good form. At home to Newcastle, City have always had the edge, winning most of their games. I think the last loss coming in about 2006. So I think this game favors the likes of Semenyo, the likes of Haaland for captaincy and vice captaincy options. So Semenyo is going to be my vice captain going into this game, and Rice is my last midfielder away at Tottenham. He returned his first double figure haul after quite a while in this double game week, 14 points overall. I am happy to have him, but I am looking at bringing in one of Morgan Rogers for that fixture run. I have been looking at bringing in Rogers for quite a while. In the reverse fixture earlier in the season, we saw him return 15 points against Leeds, and now it's at Villa Park where Aston Villa will try to secure another 3 points to keep their hopes of remaining in the top 3 alive going into the tail end of the season. So I think Rogers is going to be an excellent pick for this game week up until game week 33, 32, where the fixtures then begin to turn again. So I am looking at the possibility of bringing him. But the thing is, this game against Tottenham just screams a game where, you know, the midfielders would be the ones racking up all the points. I do think it's going to be a cagey game, right? Igor Tudor, who Tottenham just signed as their new interim manager, has a really, really good record in his managerial career for first games when he's coached. His last 7 games, opening games as a manager, he has played 7 of those, won 6 and drawn just 1. So it may be a really cagey game. Tottenham would want to prove something, and they are also in kind of a relegation battle, so they know losing this game is going to be horrific for them. So I don't know what to expect. I do like Rogers' run. I'm also looking at the likes of Ryan of Bournemouth, who has been on excellent form since signing in January transfer window. So it's just a little bit shaky right now on the Rice end. I may move away from him, and that is a really, really strong possibility for me going into this game week. But he is my 5th midfielder at the moment, seeing as I have not made my transfer yet. Up top, I have Erling Haaland, who has been deemed fit enough to start the game coming this weekend home to Newcastle. Now, he doesn't have the most terrific record, but he looks to be finding form. We saw an excellent goal he got against Fulham last weekend, and you know, got a full week of rest, is fit and is training. I think this is a game Man City know that they must win to keep their hopes of the title alive, keep the pressure on Arsenal. And when Haaland gets back to this kind of goal scoring form, you just see him pick up the goals from, you know, all over the field. He's yet to score a hat-trick, may come in this game, who knows, right? So at the moment, my captain armband is on him going into this game week. I just feel like he has something for us in this game week, so he's going to be my captain. My second player up top is Thiago at home to Brighton. Brentford have been on really, really good form. Prior to the game against Arsenal, they had beaten Villa away from home, Newcastle away from home, and then got that amazing draw against Arsenal. Could have easily been a win if Thiago converted those chances. But yeah, I think this is a game he can also get back on the score sheet from, and he's going to be starting for me. On my bench, I have Mane away at Crystal Palace. This is one that I could actually look to just start ahead of Rice. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but he has been really, he has performed really well for Wolves since breaking into the first team. Like I said, he could have easily gotten the double figure haul, right? And with the way Palace defense is looking, with Lacroix out, the absence of Guehi, and just all the problems that are, you know, currently piling up at the club, Mane could be a really good differential own in my starting 11 ahead of Rice. When you compare the fixtures, I just think Wolves really don't have anything to lose. We saw that in the game against Arsenal. They came, they played their hearts out. They may try to do the same against Crystal Palace, and it may work for them how it worked for Burnley. And you have the likes of Mane that are always, you know, starting 90 minutes, finishing the games, and they're up top, creating chaos, trying to create something. I think this is a game he can get something out of. He's going to be first on my bench. Mukiele second on my bench at home to Fulham. One I'm also looking at bringing into my starting 11, either for Timber or Munoz. Yet to decide on that. And Goodmanson at home, away rather, at Aston Villa, right? So ultimately, I just have one transfer in mind, which would honestly to bring in Rogers or, you know, bring in Ryan of Bournemouth. Their fixtures are really good for the next 3-4 game weeks. I am also thinking about bringing in Liverpool assets because their fixtures become really good from game week 28. And if I do move that route, I will take out the likes of Munoz to go for someone like Van Dijk or Konate. I could also, you know, roll my transfer this week and then bring in the likes of Verts next week, or decide to downgrade Rice to the likes of Elliot Anderson or Dewsbury Hall and then upgrade Mane Rice to Ekitike. I have 0.5 in my bank. I believe I should be able to make that transfer. But this is what my team is looking like going into game week 27. My captain, like I said, is on Erling Haaland. My vice is on Semenyo. I may move my vice to Bruno Fernandes and leave my cap on Erling Haaland. But this is what my team looks like going into game week 27. If you have any opinions on who I should bench and who I should start, please leave them in the comment section. I'll answer them. If you also have any questions, I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys in the next FPL video.